Long time no see. How you guys doing? I am so sorry about my absence. Be real with you guys, holiday seasons, work stress and a bunch of other stuff kind of contributed to me not wanting to film, but that doesn't mean I haven't been working. So while I was gone, I guess, I did quite a bit on the S2000. So as you can see, the motor's back in it, the transmission's in it, the drive shaft's hooked up, the radiator is in it. Still plenty to go, but I was just like, I had stuff just kind of, and I still have stuff just like everywhere. So I was like, you know what, let's get this put back together. I went ahead and got the tuner's adapter plate, and it bolted right up, literally. So I'd avoid, if you're doing this, avoid the PLM. It's not worth it. But today we're gonna be messing with the Integra, and this should be a relatively quick-ish video. So the Integra, it's been having a little bit of an issue. I took this car out a few weeks ago, hung out with some friends, did some racing and whatnot. Car was giving me issues the entire time. Throttle body was sticking, and I just put that throttle body on, so I took it apart, checked the inside bore, just did a little light, just a little light scuffing up in there. It seems to be working now, which is good. I need to hook up my laptop to the HOM data because I didn't actually do the TPS calibration. I know technically you're supposed to don't use HOM data to calibrate your TPS. Look, bro, it's worked. I'm gonna keep doing it. Anyway, but beyond that, the car in high RPM, the last pull I did racing a Mustang, oops, I'm feeling horribly, I'm sorry, started acting up, it was cutting up, and I was just like, all right, maybe it's just because I'm low on fuel, which for this car, half a tank is low. Not because of the sending unit, but because, I don't know, I don't like this fuel pump that I have in here. Anytime it hits half a tank, my fuel pressure is sporadic. So, if you check this out, I have two fuel pressure gauges here. The one that's on the regulator itself has been on the car for a while. I had it set to 40, and I'm sitting there watching it, and it started, it's dropping. I rev the car, it drops some more, and I'm like, all right, well, it sounds like, my fuel pressure regulator is bad. But I adjusted it, went back up, and then it started to come back down again. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. But I had this spare one from when I did the fuel rail on the, SI. And I was like, just to be safe, let me toss this on here and see if maybe there's a difference. And there was. So come to find out, this was reading completely off. This thing was at it damn near pinged 100. So I'm like, oh, this has way too much fuel pressure. So I backed it out, obviously, dropped this down to 40, and my idle smoothed out. So I was like, okay, well, there's one problem solved. That's my fault for running cheap stuff. That just kind of is what it is. In my mind, I'm just like, gosh, it's just a fuel rail and it's just a fuel pressure regulator. But you get what you pay for. Regulator does work. It does hold pressure. It's fine. But coming off of owning a name brand one, like an AEM one, for example, when you prime the car, the regulator, will shoot up to about 40 PSI, 42, I think it's factory or something like that. And then after it's done priming, it'll hold it. There's a check valve in them. These don't have that. So it makes cold start on an E85 car kind of the most miserable thing in the world. But it just is what it is. So what I'm gonna do is I need to do an oil change on this real quick because the oil smells like E85. I just smack my plugs back in and put the spark plug wires on, and I have maybe like a gallon of E85 over there. I'm gonna try tossing it in here and seeing if it helps with my fuel pressure and sporadic weirdness. So we'll get to it. All right, so before I even add that extra fuel in here, we're gonna see how long it takes this thing to start, and then I'm gonna show you what the fuel pressure gauge is doing. All right, it's been, probably started this thing like a week, so I'm going to vote it'll take about 5 seconds. Let's see. Ooh, you hear that fuel pump? Hold on, let me reprime that. The first prime was wah, 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 wah. So I don't know, let's see. All right. Actually started up quicker than I thought it would. Yeah. Fuel pressure's great. My wideband doesn't want to work anymore, and I don't know why, but this AEM wideband's always giving me some type of issue. Okay, so I just went ahead and adjusted the fuel pressure regulator. I put it on 60 PSI. And it's already dropping. It's already going below 50. All right, so I got the car up to operating temp, as you see there, 182, about what this sits at idle, especially with how cold it is, and it's got normal coolant in it. I cannot, for the life of me, get my wideband working. Honda is not picking it up. So I have either wideband's completely dead, or I don't know, because I just swapped the sensor out for another one that I had laying around. I guess I could try a different one and see if that reads. I don't think this one works either. At this point, I think it's a wiring issue with the wideband itself, not any of my O2 sensors, because it normally doesn't take this long for it to heat. All right, I finally got it to start, and yeah, it's not happy. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back off. Like I said, we're gonna do the oil change. And while I'm doing the oil change, the harness for that runs underneath the subframe down to the car warms up. So I'm gonna check it and make sure it's not all chewed up. Maybe I bottomed the car out or something. You guys wanna know something cool? Or I don't know if I'm gonna call it cool, but just really wild. This Integra is the car I've owned the longest out of any of my cars I've ever owned. I've been through quite a bit of them, but typically, you know, I'll have my fun with cars and I'll be like, I want something different, or, you know, life happens and I gotta sell it. But yeah, I just, for some reason this thing's stuck. And I think it's just from, to be honest with you, it's just all the time and effort I have in it. In between, you know, the multiple engine swaps, but most importantly, because engine swaps aren't anything to me, most importantly, it's how long it took me to do all the suspension. Like I said, every bushing has been replaced on this car. And it genuinely rides really, really good. Just like if you were to be driving it every day or something, like it rides really well. So, you know, maybe one day, but probably not. I'll probably not sell this car. Just way too much time, effort, money, blood, sweat. I never cried over it, thank God, but I can't take tears. But yeah, this is my baby. I think I would sell the S2000 before I sold this one. All right, let's pop underneath here. This bad boy is leaky as hell. It needs, and I've replaced them twice now, cam seals on the driver's side, which I don't know why it keeps leaking. The VTEC solenoid's leaking, even though I don't have VTEC technically. It's locked. And there's another leak. I can't remember exactly where it was though, but it was just a bunch of small leaks. So I'm just gonna get a brake parts cleaner bath while I'm down here. Well, like I said, this drain plug's been with me for years, and I think she's tired now. I was literally just trying to get the crush washer off and pop that bad boy off. So I gotta order, well, I need to order two of them because the S2000 is gonna need one as well. But I guess we'll run, I don't know what this is, just like a factory one. Yeah, we'll just pop it off of that. All right, I got the bolt in. Now, you see that milky stuff in there? Most people will be like, oh my God, it's a head gasket. Well, E85 loves moisture, number one. Number two, catch can, drain, or you know, lines run right next to this, and those are vented, so moisture is going to get in regardless. Just kind of is what it is. You can't avoid that. I mean, I guess you could. Someone probably out there has done it, but I ain't worried about it. Now we're just going to move on to me hopefully getting this oil filter off from the top. Now, to be real with you guys, the guy that I have installed my oil filters, you know, I don't know him like that, even though, you know, he lives inside my body, right? But I think he has Hulk strength when it comes to tightening these things, because I can never, see? Jesus Christ. Little by little it's turning. There we go. There we go. Okay, we're in business. Golly. You tell that guy to find a new job or something, because they're always so tight. Okay, so what I run in the Integra for oil is VR1 20W50. In my opinion, the best oil you can get. And typically, when it comes to filters and stuff, either Wix at a bare minimum, Honda filters if I find them on like Amazon cheap enough, or I've actually ran Denso filters too, which I really like Denso filters. Effectively, I think this oil change cost me, it was $9, $10 for this, and it was $8 a quart. So, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, $50 for an oil change, plus tax, because, the government needs their money. But yeah, I don't run all 5. What I do is I buy 5. I put 4 in the car, and then I always have 1 extra just in case. You never know when you get a little bit of a leak or something, you have it on hand. I keep it in the back of the car. Well, while I'm playing Lube Tech here, I want to give you guys a huge shout out, just for being supportive and loyal. And even though I, disappear from time to time, just understand that, I'm an adult, life happens, and I have bills and a family and a career. So, I just don't always have time to mess with my cars, unfortunately. I'd like to mess with them a lot more, but the older I've gotten, the more I've realized there's just, bigger priorities out there. And my cars are, outside of keeping them running, are pretty low, all things considering. So honestly, and even though this is my favorite car, especially the Integra, just because it does what I need it to do. All right. Oil filter's on. I tighten it with my left hand because it's my non-dominant one. I think that also helps a bit too, because I think I might over torque them typically. But all good, it's on there, it's gravy. Now we're gonna put in this lovely VR1 racing oil. This car is surprisingly the second most expensive car to do oil changes on that I have. This shit is molasses, dude. It's winter time. This stuff is so thick. The GTI is still more expensive than this just because it's European, and I got to get specific European oil. All right, this will make 4 right here. And we'll check the level after we put it back on the ground. We're probably going to have to add some more, of course, because the filter's going to take some, but no big deal. People, especially nowadays, I feel like, you're building to have as little resistance as possible in their motors to be as fast as possible, so they're running really thin oils. 20W50 is really heavy, and that does add a lot of weight onto your rotating assembly. But I build all my engines loose for abuse, as I call it, meaning that my tolerances and clearances are opened up because I know I'm gonna beat the crap out the car. All right, on the ground you go. Always lower it slowly. Don't ever just drop it. That's how you break stuff. There we go. Cool beans. All right, let's see where this oil level is sitting at. Should be pretty much right where it needs to be, thankfully. Oh yeah, so clean, it's barely showing up on the dipstick. Yep, 4 quarts, it's sitting there. But like I said, the oil filter's gonna absorb some, so I'm gonna put another half a quart or so in there real quick. All right, let's see if she'll start. She didn't start last time, then it started, but it took all of 5 minutes to get it started. Here. Be nice. Oh, that fuel pump is struggling, dude. Oh my God. Tried to buy a fuel pump from a local homie to support his business. There we go. Of course, it's looking gravy. Yep, we're good there. Yep, she gravy. All lubed up. Okay, now that's done. It really didn't need an oil change. Like, the oil condition was still really good. However, I think the reason that my engines typically outlast other people who would do a similar build like this is for 2 different reasons. One, I don't just smack it together. And honestly, I did kind of just smack this one together because I was upset that I missed the comp that I was trying to get to. But I I checked all the clearances and everything was straight. I just skipped on some of the normal things I would do, which typically is plastic gauging as an extra precaution, but I just used my dial caliper and just measured stuff out, make sure everything was gravy. This engine also has the King's race bearings in it, which are the black ones, and with them being the way that they are, they open up a little bit more. So if you had a standard grain Honda bearing, compare it to a standard race Kings, or I guess even ACL race bearing, you'll see like just the minuscule differences in the thickness. The Honda bearing will be slightly thicker. The reason being is because they open it up, so take a little bit more abuse. Which is cool. That's what I did to this as compared to the S2000 motor, which has your standard bearings in it, because I didn't plan on it's going to get abused, but it's not going to be abused to this point. But also, my maintenance on this car is intense, to be real with you. It has a pre-flight check. I check everything before I leave. Summertime, it gets distilled water and water wetter. Wintertime just got 50-50 mix in it. But my biggest thing about this car specifically, at least with this engine in it, which is also kind of the reason why I want to go back to an A on it, is because the maintenance cost, it's high. It just kind of is what it is. If I drive this car on a weekend, and this is without doing first through fourth pulls, maybe like a third gear pull to fourth gear or something like that, it costs me $75-80 for the weekend to drive it, most of it being fuel, because it just runs through it so fast. And typically, if I have an even harder weekend, like the last time I drove it, when I'm just doing pull after pull after pull, racing, fuel, and then I throw in another $50 for no oil change. So that brings the total up to $130 to drive it for a weekend if I'm racing it, which in retrospect isn't all that much, but I'm not a race team. So yeah, that adds up. And this car, as fun as it is to drive, absolutely sucks to drive at the same time. Too much power for the street kind of takes the fun out of it. I like to drive spiritedly. I like to bend some corners and whatnot. Try doing it in this thing. As soon as the boost starts to creep in, you're done. And I haven't had any plug issues lately since I swapped up to those Iridium with the going to 8s instead of 7s. So I'll take that. I'll continue doing that. And that dropped my cost quite a bit, dude. I want to say I was replacing spark plugs. If I drove this thing throughout the summer, typically on weekends, I might get 2 weekends out of a set of copper, NGK, BKR 70 spark plugs. But these Iridium ones, man, they just take it, which is great. So, hell yeah. But other than that, man, I mean, yeah, like I said, I attest this engine specifically, to be so well at what it does, because it's just the way I built it and the amount of maintenance that goes into it to keep it alive. I feel like that's where a lot of people start to shy off at. They'll put an engine together like this, and they'll drive it, they'll do street pulls, they'll take it to track, do track pulls, they'll check the oil, make sure it's at, the proper level and whatnot. But especially with it being an E85 car, and as wide as I have, everything's, my piston ring gap is actually pretty open as well. It starts to wash out. It just kind of is what it is, and E85 ends up in the oil. And as soon as I start smelling it, is when I'm like, okay. So prior to this oil change, I did an oil change on the car, maybe 2 months before I took it out last, and that was the last time I actually drove the car, beat on it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna store it with some good oil in it. Did that one pull, and of course I came out here and started it and whatnot, but went and did those few pulls, and come back, and oil just smelling like E85, just kind of is what it is. That's kind of tuning related as well, but yeah, that's why this engine lasts so long, just because how up on maintenance I am. And it's annoying, sure, but if you don't want to constantly be inside of an engine, pulling one in and out of the car every 4 or 5 passes, just do the maintenance. Just kind of is what it is. This car is an easy 10-second car, and for a street car, that is fantastic. I don't think it needs to be any faster than really what it is. So the next guy, if I don't pop his engine, the next person to get it, hopefully they follow the maintenance routine that I give them on this car, and Actually, if they put it back on just regular 93, but yeah, that's it. I love this thing. And what it is. Sorry for the random video of pretty much just an oil change and me explaining why I haven't made a video. But you know, life happens. So next time we see this thing, I have some 225 50s I'm gonna put on the front. And it's cold outside, but I actually do miss just busting it out on a weekend night, just to, you know, go do some pulls, go hunt down some, you know, local teenagers with parent money and their Hellcats and Mustangs and stuff, and you know, playing with them. It's fun. It's just cold. Ain't got no heat. But we'll probably do something. I'm off pretty much 5 days essentially. We'll play with it. We'll play with it. See what's up. Did a compression check on it too. 150 across the board still. Masterbuilt knows how to put a fucking engine together. Peace.